The United States is once again yet the latest country where people are running for political office who want to raise tax rates. Some of them want to tax you as much as 70%. Some of them want to have a wealth tax. Some of them want to flat out confiscate your money and give it to other people. So whether you live in the United States or whether you live somewhere else where this is the political chatter, I'm going to give you several important steps to consider to make sure that you're ready in case that happens. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson. Here at Nomad Capitalist, we talk about using global strategies to protect yourself. Now, for a lot of folks who are the 6 and 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs, that means an active strategy. That means plan A. It means go put your company offshore. Potentially you need to move offshore, and you're going to have an active strategy that involves you doing something today to keep more of your own money legally and build your freedom. But what if you're just a successful person? What if you have 7 figures, 8 figures, you live in one of these high-tax countries? It seems like the English-speaking countries are some of the worst at this. And Western countries in general just don't like the idea that people can be successful and not pay all of their money in tax in many cases. This is a continuing issue, and I think it's only going to get worse. So here are a couple things that I think that you should do as a legal sort of umbrella policy, okay? The idea that if you have $10 million, you might spend $100,000 as not plan A, but as a plan B. You're not moving overseas tomorrow. You're not necessarily changing anything in your life, but you're getting ready to where you have what I call tunnels. You can go different directions and your eggs aren't all in one basket. The first thing that I would recommend that you do is simply have some assets offshore. This is pretty straightforward. Okay? That could be as simple as having a bank account overseas. Now, there are bank accounts that we talk about you can go and open for $1. So really anyone can have a plan B and build up over time as they get their toe dipped in the water and get more comfortable. There are also private banks that have minimums of $500,000, $1 million, $10 million, where you can go and get really sophisticated service, possibly get access to investments in other countries, and know that someone just can't come in and say, you know what, we're pushing a button and we're taking all of your money. I made a video not too long ago about why I said I never invested in an IRA or any other kind of government-run retirement program. Got a lot of backlash on that. But I stand by my reasoning in the sense of I don't want to give the government control over my money, whether it's retirement or any other money. And so one school of thought for IRAs, for example, in the United States is that maybe one day the government is broke and they're going to say, you know what, we're either going to take part of your IRA Cyprus style, or you can put all your money in treasuries and you can just let us run it and we'll just determine the kind of returns you should get. If you've got a lot of money in the United States and they come in and do something like that, or again, it could be Australia, it could be the UK, it could be wherever. If you've got a lot of money and they come in and make some kind of proposal like that, some kind of haircut, some kind of forcing you where to put your money, you'll have wished you had money in other countries that they couldn't touch and that they couldn't legislate around. Now, the number 2 strategy I would recommend for your plan B is to be expat ready. Now, let's be honest. The US passport, the UK passport, Australia, whatever. These are good travel documents, okay? What's interesting to me is watching when Brexit started, seeing people in the UK thinking their passport was going to go to trash. No, it's not going to go to trash. You can't show up in Spain and just be let in through the European line anymore when Brexit happens, but your passport's still going to be perfectly fine. And so, unless there's some kind of, war that reduces to the United States to a third world country, the fact that your tax rate may go to 70% won't mean you can't simply go somewhere else with your US passport. But what I focus on, as well as all the intellectual side of planning, is the human side of the planning. And what I found is, if you don't have a place where you can go that's a second home or that's your plan B home, you're going to be a lot less likely to do it. I see a lot of people who say, you know what, I would move overseas if things got bad. And yet they've bemoaned that for the last 25 years, things have gotten worse and worse and worse. Well, when did they get bad? Right? When do you decide it's gotten bad? When they shoot you in the head? When it's the Khmer Rouge? I mean, when is it getting bad? And so I think that really the hang up that I found talking with people on this very in depth, because I really want to understand people in order to help them figure out the plan that they need, that they'll actually do, is have a second residence and potentially even have a piece of real estate in some other place. Now, if your concern is tax or wealth confiscation, you probably want to think a little bit outside of the box. You don't necessarily want to go to Belgium. I mean, they'll just take a lot of your money too. You probably want to find a place that's a bit off the beaten path. Get a second residence permit there. It might mean making a bank deposit in that country, might mean hiring one person in that country, buying some bonds. It could mean buying some real estate. You could do a 2-for-1 where you buy a home that your family could go to. Maybe you like to spend your summers there, but it's also your place that if something bad happens where you live now, you know you can go there. And you have that kind of psychological confidence that you're not just going to get on a plane and go to the first place you think about and then figure it out. People don't generally do that. They want that kind of like, in event of fire, or in event of emergency, break glass. And they know that behind that glass is something specific, something tangible. They're aware of what it looks like, and that makes it a lot easier for people to become expats if they need to. Whether you're leaving for financial reasons, whether there's some kind of persecution in your home country, whatever it is, have a place where you can go. The third step is an extension of that. It's be expatriate ready. Have a second passport. Now, it may be in the same country where you're an expat. It may be something entirely different. People often think, I want to move to Europe, so therefore I need a European passport. No, you just need permission to live in Europe. You need some kind of residence permit, golden visa, whatever. Your passport could be from somewhere else entirely, right? And so what happens if your country says, we're going to start taxing people under some crazy new condition? It's happened, right? I mean, there's been some pretty crazy tax laws passed where citizens simply couldn't opt out. And so if you had a second passport, you could always say, you know what, I'm going to opt out. I'm just not going to be a citizen anymore. If something really crazy happened in your country, I'm going to opt out. Now, again, some of these things, I don't want to be in doom and gloom, okay? Some of these things, the percentages of them happening are really low. I'm not in this camp of you should, get your farm somewhere in, the southern hemisphere for when the nuclear war happens. Is that a risk? Sure, everything's a risk. What I'm saying is there's a lot of different things, some small, some bigger, that could potentially happen that you would want to have a second passport. That second passport could be a place where, you want to be able to at least go there if you had to. You don't want it to be from a war-torn country. We're not looking for a passport from Chad. Right? But we want a halfway decent passport that gives us the freedom to expatriate if things got really bad, if there was a big financial reason to do so, or some kind of other reason to do so. Oh, and by the way, if you're successful, having that second passport could mean other investments open up to you. It could mean your kids have access to new universities to go to or new places to work. And so if you've got a family especially, it could not only be a plan B, it could also be an extra thing that you could have access to that would actually help give you more opportunities in addition to being your plan B if one of these politicians gets in power and wants to take all of your money. The fourth piece of advice is have an exit plan on your business. Is your business location independent? Could you run it from anywhere? Now, when people hear location independent, they often think, do I have a laptop lifestyle business? That's kind of a digital nomad thing of, is my business kind of running from a cafe in Bali? It doesn't have to be that way. I was just talking to a guy the other day. He has a business in the United States, and he does services. They do stuff at your home. And he said, I just sold off the piece that's requires my presence here, and now I own the other part of the business where I could be anywhere else, and I could just run it, and I have a team in place. Now, if that's your business, then it would be great to have that strategy for allowing you to leave. Obviously, if tax rates go to 70%, you can probably expect a lot less income from that business. And obviously, in some extreme circumstance, like Venezuela style, the government would come in and take your business potentially. I don't think that's really what we're talking about here. But at least you have a plan to where, again, you're not going to be waiting around until the last minute because my business needs me. It can't go one day without me. If your business needs you and you're not being in that office in Wichita every day, means you have no income, then you need to make a plan to handle that. Or potentially have some kind of business that you could run from anywhere and that you could offshore to get more active benefits, okay? So basically preparing yourself with assets around the world through properties, through bank accounts, cryptocurrency certainly can be part of a plan B. Having expat ready, being expatriate ready, and being ready to have your business go with you as well. Those are 4 very important steps. And again, one thing I look at is there's really 2 parts of the equation. There's the active plan. If I pay a certain amount of money now in legal fees and creating structures and I do A, B, C, and D, I can go overseas and I can save a lot of money immediately. I'm getting an immediate ROI, right? Someone comes, it costs them $40,000 to set up a really intricate, well-oiled structure, but they're going to save $200,000 the first year, $300,000 the next year, and 10 years from now they'll have saved $5 million. That's a pretty good ROI. This plan B, you might not get an ROI. Now, listen, you might go and open a 10% interest rate bank deposit in Armenian currency as part of your plan B, and maybe that pays for itself. You might buy a piece of real estate overseas, and since you're not living there yet, you'll rent it out, and maybe you'll make an income, and probably a better return than you would where you live now. Okay? So there are some ways to make this plan B pay for itself, but again, I talk about the success tax. I think the success tax is important. If you are a high net worth individual, turning some of these things on, even if it's a cost center, is probably a reasonable insurance policy for the average person in an era when politicians want more and more of your money. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist. I wrote this book, which you can find on Amazon, to distill a lot of the stuff we talk about in these videos and a lot of the stuff I've learned over the last decade plus traveling all around the world, teaching you about how to legally reduce your taxes, build your personal freedom, and create wealth faster. Definitely get a copy of this book if you want to learn more. Now, if you want to watch more videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the notifications bell so you never miss one of our new videos with more tips on how to go where you're treated best. And if you're already a 6 or 7 figure entrepreneur and you'd like to put these strategies in place for yourself, go to nomadcapitalist.com and learn about how I can help you.